If you've ever wondered how to judge a wine, well, today we are going to show you how to do that. Justin from Arizona Stronghold Vineyards is presenting to us Wine Tasting 101, the basics of discussing and tasting and terminology of wine.
Correct. I've been informed I don't need the finger.
You don't need a finger stash.
Yeah.
You have your own finger stash.
What we're actually going to, it's close to Wine 101, but we're going to go over terminology for you to identify the kind of wine you like. And the reason is so that you can go into a restaurant or a wine shop, and rather than going up to the clerk or the server and saying, I like white wine, right, you know, and then there's this broad spectrum and they, you know, have too many things to choose from, you can say, looking for a medium-bodied Chardonnay with a touch of oak that's dry.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
And you also give that person tools.
I usually just take my producer, Denise, and just say, Denise, what do I like? Order for me. That's
awesome,
typically how it
perfect.
works.
How do you get that job, being your wine selector? I'm in. Sign me up.
I don't think you'd want it, but I'm sure she would be willing to give that one to you.
Nice.
So let's talk about how we do develop that kind of that vocab and that lingo and make it applicable to what we like in our taste buds.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of things you can kind of look at as far as that goes, and it can get really in-depth. As a self-proclaimed wine geek, I've spent a lot of time just looking and smelling at a wine before we even get to tasting it. So I think you can overthink it and you can overanalyze it, guilty, but there's a few basic things. Body is one of the things you want to look at, and when I say body, I mean light, medium, or full-bodied, and this is the texture of the wine. Is it weighty on the palate? If you think of water as being light-bodied and you think of milk as being full-bodied, that'll kind of give you an idea.
So a red would typically be a full body as opposed to a white? No?
No, not at all. There are very, very light-bodied reds and there are very, very full-bodied whites. Oh. And that's why it's good to know if you like a light, crisp white or red, or a very, very full, robust red or white.
So the grade would be light, medium, and full? Light, medium, and full.
Okay. And a good way to do that is to ask for a full-bodied and a light-bodied wine and then taste them both side by side.
You can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I encourage you to do that. You might have fun doing that, actually.
You won't even need the cup or the bottle by the end of the
straight
night.
Out of the thing. So body is one thing to look at, light, medium, full. Also, sweet versus dry. And this is something that gets a little bit confusing, but is pretty basic if you just look at it for what it is. Sweet means it's sweet. There's sugar there. There's sugar present there. Dry means there's no sugar present there. Now, the reason it gets confusing is because dry wines that don't have sugar can taste fruity.
Dry wines that don't have sugar can taste fruity, but not sweet.
Correct. A dry wine, by definition, will not be sweet, but it could be a fruity dry wine. Just because you ferment the sugar out of a wine doesn't mean you take away all that fruit purity. So you can still smell and taste oranges and bananas and cherries and strawberries.
So tell us how we would categorize and describe that variety.
You would say, well, you would decide, you would basically have a dry or a sweet wine.
What's in between?
Off dry is in between.
Okay.
So off dry is slightly sweet.
Just sneeze again. I'm kidding, Nicole.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So off dry is just slightly sweet. Sweet is sugary, like a very marked.
Off dry.
Yeah, off dry is in between, and then dry is basically there's no perceptible sugar there. The other thing to consider is flavor profile, and I'll make this more simple than it could be. I mean, you can get into a lot of flavors. There are thousands of things you can detect in wine. But fruity and earthy, I think, are two that you want to look at mostly. Most of us prefer fruity flavors, but if you've ever had a fruity wine, you mentioned you like Syrah.
Right.
Syrah can often have not only earthy, but peppery characteristics to it. And as soon as you become comfortable with identifying those, you'll be able to say, yes, I'm looking for a full-bodied red that's dry, fruity, and a little bit earthy.
Okay, so I think, let me look at test. I would like a medium-bodied red that is, what's my second?
You're dry or sweet or off-dry.
That's off-dry.
You probably be an off-dry,
with a hint of fruit.
There you go.
Easy on the earth.
Easy on the earth, not so much
and
earth.
And a side of French fries.
Medium
and you're a white wine drinker, yep.
Off-white,
non-fat
latte.
Right.
You're going back to
with a sleeve,
wine
100.
You're not even, you're kicked out of 101.
No sweetener.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Absolutely.
More information about the stuff that you've seen here on the show on SonoranLiving.com. We'll see you Monday.